Hey, all, we are just waiting for the incomparable James Dapachi to join, just making sure my sound is working and everything's good to go. Fantastic. Here we go. Hope everyone's day is well as well. It's been almost 3 years since chatted to James live, and he'll be joining in just a moment. The original time we chatted was on the LHL Story series back in the day, and he's just grown leaps and bounds, as you've probably seen online, over 10,000 followers, and just crushing it at Chamberlains at the moment. Absolute powerhouse, and one of my original and true friends. Afternoon, everyone. Kayla's joined us. Good to have you in, Kayla. Thanks for joining. We're very excited to have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Dapachi join. And this is my first LinkedIn Live. Thank you to LinkedIn for allowing me access. It's been a bit of a while, but we are here now. And if you haven't got live yet, I definitely encourage you, if you can, to get it from LinkedIn, because it is definitely worth it. Unfiltered, raw, and ready to go. Mina is here. Hey, Mina, long time no speak, mon ami. Hope you're well. Thanks for joining. That's okay. That's okay. James is just saying sorry. He's just logging in. He will be there. Sam Wilson, welcome, welcome. LinkedIn user, I don't know who you are, but hello to you as well. Thank you so much. So we are streaming on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Obviously, this is our first Law Live, or LinkedIn Live, as it were. And yeah, it's very exciting. We used to, James and myself. Oh, hey, Alex, welcome. Yeah, great idea. Well, look, enjoying it. And yes, getting back to it, in terms of, where we started with, I guess, social media, it was bite-sized videos. Oh, here we go. Device is not connected. James, can you see us, mate? Here we go. Coming in. Device is not detected, but James is here soon. We started on LinkedIn doing bite-sized videos, and you post-editing using Final Cut Pro. And one day I was over having coffee with James, who will be joining in a moment. And he said, Cullen, I want to take my LinkedIn game to the next level. Is there a program you recommend? I said, Final Cut Pro, get on it. I gave it to him over coffee, legal version. And he said, Cullen, thanks so much. I probably won't use it, but, let's see. The next day, the man himself, James, comes out with still one of the finest looking videos. And it continues to this day, the coffee and a case note with the subtitles and everything. Fantastic. And he continues to be a legend. All right, here we go. James, can I get you on the screen? We're adding you to the stream, James. Here he is, the one and only.
We did it.
We did it.
Cullen, I remain grateful. That was a fabulous gift. Just for anyone there who heard that story, just confirm. It's absolutely my hand. I go, well, Cullen, how does this thing do subtitles? I don't know, where's the sub? And you managed to troubleshoot your way through that. It was a bit of classic Cullen Haynes ingenuity. There was an element of MacGyver to it, and you got us there at the end. And Cullen, I remain grateful. So many things.
No, absolute pleasure there, James. And it looks like you are in your element at, it may be Copacabana, it looks like.
Yeah.
The reception issues it may look like. But look, it looks like it's clearing up. Here we go. That's it. Yes. You might need to get closer to the
reception
broadband.
Issues can be explained in part by... Yeah.
There we
Yes,
go.
I think
it's coming
we're
back.
right next door now. Look, it was good enough for the Federal Court of Australia, the reception, but Cullen is a step up to speaking. So the standard will be high, and rightly so. So apologies for the broadband bumps, but you're right. Up here in Copacabana, and we're bubbling along. Delighted to be here. It's a very different scenario from that first chat we had in 2019.
I know, 29, 3 and a bit years ago. Can you believe it, James? Can you believe it?
Madness, absolute madness. Colin, you and I reminisced today on the first time we spoke in front of a camera together, and we both had a lot more hair and probably a lot more vim and vigor. But I'm still very much looking forward to a chat today.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I've definitely lost a bit of hair around here. I seem to have the reverse bald man's issue where I can't grow it. I can grow it on top, but I've lost it around the sides. Very weird, and it just seems to keep on creeping up, James. But you've still got a thick head of hair yourself since those early days.
Mine's going the William Hurt issue, where if you have a swim, your hairline looks like Homer Simpson, and you realize there are only like 3 hairs there in the perpendicular lines. We're all heading south, so it's good fun from this end. Very, very good fun indeed.
No, absolutely. And I know one of the first questions I asked you back in the day on that inaugural series that obviously has was 3 years ago. I asked you, if you describe your life in film titles, and I think you said the original answer was 12 Years a Slave, and then you changed that to Sunshine by Danny Boyle, 2005, 2006 movie, because you actually said you love what you do. And I think, hand on heart, anyone that knows you, James, and has seen you and met you in person, you've got this zest for life and zest for what you do and passion. I'd love to talk to, is that passion still there? And do you still love what you do?
Yeah, look, broadband issues aside, I'm pretty passionate, and I think we might be able to describe that modem's life with the film title Final Destination shortly after this, because I'm pretty unimpressed with how much I've delayed you and everyone who's kind enough to join us for this chat. But I think the passion still does remain. And if I sound like there's a question mark at the end of that sentence, it's a very interesting thing, and it's a process I'm sort of working through at the moment. When you move in your legal journey from being a technician doing legal stuff and being on the tools to someone who is then responsible for being on the tools for their own work, but then also trying to engage with the careers of others as they sort of click through the gears as well, and trying to find that balance between when am I doing the technical stuff I went to uni for, and when am I doing the businessy, managementy flavored stuff that is not necessarily within my natural skill set. So my enthusiasm remains for the law. And I think as I get to know what we might call the more business challenges of being engaged in an entity of some size, I'm coming to develop a passion for that, which is going to be good fun. Cullen, is the passion still there? Yes. Are there days of confusion, tension, and anxiety? Yes, but it's a fun journey, and I'm having a good time.
Well, it seems to have reaped you many beautiful plants and seeds from those early days, and obviously you're a director now of a massive firm, one of, I would say, Australia's fastest growing firms. Would you say your social strategy is still a big part of your success, and are you passing that on to your team?
Yes, I'm trying to be good with compliments. Yes, I would. I'll start with its relevance to my practice point. So yes, just sort of numbers through the door. And what's interesting, Cullen, is that a lot of my work is referral work. And I think you'll be more familiar with I am than this concept about touch points, right? That you don't make a purchase decision or even a services sort of decision until you've had, X number of touch points, and it could be 1 or 10 or 12 or whatever it is. And so a person who's going to instruct me, it's going to be a reasonably high risk sort of scenario for them or for their business. And so what they are going to want to do is have a reasonably high level of confidence in me. And so the number of those touch points needed to, hold hands with me as we jump off the cliff together is going to be quite significant. And so what I find is that the social strategy that you kindly refer to of trying to be on YouTube and LinkedIn and TikTok and Instagram and all this sort of stuff is a useful way of getting those touch points. But then what's also interesting is it's a very bad way of finalizing. And I think you'd have this experience as well, that it's useful for building notoriety, but when it comes to closing a deal and forming a relationship, it's very much the hand-to-hand combat, eye-to-eye intimacy or whatever we want to do. So yes, it's going well, but only complemented by relationship building. And then in relation to my team, one of the great successes we've had as a team this year is Hugh Smith. Hugh, my senior associate.
Shout out to Hugh.
Yes, we love Hugh. He's
love
the best.
Hugh.
He has founded a TikTok presence called Hugh's Hunch, where Hugh will he'll sound off on bizarre, slightly too political issues that sort of make me a tiny bit nervous as his partner. But then we'll do things like engage in like world's most difficult flag guessing contest where all these weird flags, like he has to guess them in a very short amount of time. And he does a great job. And he also is building a book of business in his sort of insolvency commercial disputes practice, which is actually based down in Canberra. So Hugh Smith is having great success doing that in my team. And Olivia Tostevant and Christy Preston are sort of dipping their toes in the social market.
Shout out to them too. Well, so, Olivia and Christy, great work.
Yes. So it's going well, Cullen. Bubbling along.
Bubbling along. And I'm endeared to what you said about the closing point. I think social strategy, as Gary Vaynerchuk says, is very much for those who do it right, give, and then ask. It's that left hook, right jab that you were talking about in your video, or is it left jab, right hook? Either way,
I'm happy with both.
Yes. But it's all about, I think it's that zero moment of truth. People feel like they know you. I'm not saying this to impress anyone, but to impress upon you. You and I have had those instances in the street in Sydney. People just shake your hand and say, hey, I like your stuff online. And that's nice, And then when you go into a meeting with someone who's seen you on there, that's just where the conversation starts. They say, I feel like I know you. Now let's get down to business. So the social is not going to get you the settlement or the closure of the matter, but it will open the door. And I think it's very powerful. Yeah.
I completely agree with you. Completely agree, Colin.
No, absolutely. Oh, of course. And what would you say in terms of where Coffee in a Case Note is growing to? Because many people know you from the Coffee and a Case Note show. And I still love it. It's one of my first videos I clicked on when I started at LHL in 2018, and still something I've subscribed to. How has that journey helped you, and where is it going with Coffee and a Case Note in 2022?
Yeah. It's very much just a one foot in front of the other at the moment. And so at the moment, it's a strategy that is sort of quite diversified across being a podcast, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And I've let Clubhouse fade away, Carl, and I suspect you haven't been on Clubhouse for 12 months.
I don't expect 18 months.
Yeah, okay. I don't expect any of us will in another 12 months' time. But I've raised that as an example, which is to say, if a new thing pops up, so Be Real, I recently downloaded, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to try to be across the possibility of something new popping up, because I think you'd agree that TikTok's now reaching maturity. That like fast growth phase must now be over, and it's sort of coming into its more steady sort of behemoth phase. And so basically I'll be trying to get two per, and I'll say this out loud so I managed to do it. I'll be trying to get two of those big chunky case summaries out per month for financial year 22-23, and then keep that sort of punctuation content in between where I try to do a joke or a gag or a photograph or then have a wonderful chat with someone who I've known for 4 years. Oh my gosh. From time to time as well. So very much as steady as she goes, but just trying to keep my eye out in case there's anything I need to add to the portfolio. Or again, not to take another shot at Clubhouse, but you know,
sorry, Clubhouse.
What's Clubhouse going to do about
Yeah,
it?
come at me.
Yeah,
bros
come find us,
and
Clubhouse.
sisters.
Best of luck.
Exactly.
Yeah, best of luck. But you know, just trying to be engaged with my portfolio of sort of publishing locations to, you know, when one falls away, that makes space for another to come in, and just to make sure I've got my eyes open for that as well.
Absolutely. And I love what you're saying about the omni-channel approach. Very, very similar. Gary Vee and Grant Cardone, God bless him. You know, he talks about this thing called omnipresence, being all places at once. And how do you navigate? Because I heard something the other day and I thought it was quite good. And I knew you'd appreciate this. The different content on the different platforms, you have to be like TikTok's a very different beast to LinkedIn. And I still haven't gone to TikTok at the lengths that you and Jahan have, another legend of law. But people are different when they consume the content as well. So you're different. Your mind is different when you're looking at LinkedIn. Your mind is different when you're on Facebook, and your mind is different on TikTok. How do you navigate creating content for all these different platforms?
Yeah, look, first, I kind of just agree with your point of view that, you know, when I'm on TikTok, you know, messing about, I am in very much a different frame of mind to, I guess, Twitter's the best example, like to hopping on Twitter to be like, hey, is there anything, Twitter's not quite eating your vegetables, but there's an element for me of like, great, are there any conversations on here I need to be across? Or is there any sort of breaking newsy type stuff in my area? You know, eat my vegetables, eat them. Yep, okay, great, off I go. And then TikTok is very much recreation, right? You hop on there and you're like, just show me something silly. Let me exchange my attention span for 15 minutes of, you know, mild diversion or however you want to put it. But you're completely right. And so the fact that we're in a different frame of mind when we're on each of those omni channels means that each place you publish, you need to be in the right frame of mind for that. And frankly, it'll just require you to publish different, though similar, content on each channel. And so a really blunt example of that is a photograph, right? So there'll be a photograph that'll go on LinkedIn, for example, that you might put quite a detailed bit of commentary of, you know, business and law, and isn't it crazy? And I met at, you know, Jane Blogs and at Tom Thompson and at Julie Johnson, and it was all really good, and hashtag this, hashtag that. Is what you may do on LinkedIn. And then on Instagram, it may be a little more abrupt. Photo. Hey, here's a photo. Cool. You know, I'm out of here. And then perhaps a more blunt way of repurposing this sort of content is the way TikTok is built to encourage you to reshare the TikTok you've just made, right? So I sit down and I say, here's a case, there's a plaintiff, there's a defendant. It was crazy. You'll never believe what the judge said at the end. You record that TikTok, and then because I haven't changed the settings, it's saved on my phone, which means it's super easy for me to hop over to Instagram, for example, and just turn that into a story, upload as a story, or in the alternative, upload as a reel. Or in addition, like further and in the alternative, head to LinkedIn, and you sort of engage with the awkwardness of publishing a piece of content that's from a different platform. You go, anyway, you know, sorry to interrupt your LinkedIn, you know, doom scrolling, but here's a TikTok I did. And so it's just about trying to be a bit empathetic as to what frame of mind everyone will be in when they're using those particular platforms. And frankly, the best guide for that is the frame of mind you're in yourself. Cullen, you'll be in a different mood on the gram as to the mood you're on when you're on LinkedIn. You know, LinkedIn's a big source of business for you. And I suspect there are other platforms where you're able to relax a bit more and just sort of bubble along and have a sort of a more, I was going to say unplugged. That's not a useful expression, but a less business focused time, and a more sort of personal, relaxation focused kind of time, and trying to be empathetic to which platform does which best is I guess the path I'd suggest, and at my best is the path I adopt.
Cogent insights there. I love what you're saying at the end there, James. So the sending to multiple platforms all at once is a dead and hackneyed strategy and should be avoided at all cost.
Oh, that's taking me a little further. That's
So would you accept? Would you accept?
Oh, I don't know. Because Facebook bores me, I do exactly the same content on Facebook that I do on LinkedIn. So if I'll do a square video on LinkedIn, I'll think carefully about what I'm writing for LinkedIn, and then I will think absolute zero about it on Facebook. I'll just copy paste that exact copy, the exact text, and chuck it on with Facebook. So I'm afraid I do that hackneyed strategy at times, but I think I do agree with your broad point that it is worth thinking through what frame of mind is someone going to be in when they read this. And I think there are ways of publishing on each different platform that are specific to those platforms. Like if you see a rocket ship flying around the place on Twitter, that feels very LinkedIn-y, if that makes sense. Or if you see a wall of hashtags on LinkedIn, that feels very TikTok-y. And it can just sort of be a slightly jarring tone. But there are other times when you can make that copy work for you. So I'm not good at unbreakable rules, but I think you're close to one that I'd be happy to abide by there, Cullen, I reckon.
Fantastic. And just checking in the comments if we've missed anything. Someone says I look like I can grow a mohawk. Alex has said I should try and play the piano while we were waiting. I can only play Furley's and very badly, Alex. So sorry about that. John Farron, the man himself, has asked, haven't heard of Be Real. What is Be Real, James? Haven't heard of Be Real.
I'm only on the edge of knowing, and I sort of don't know, but it'll send you it. So I don't want to increase the notifications people get because like you and everyone here, I fucking hate getting notifications because it sends you that little jab of anxiety. But essentially you get a notification and you are required within 2 minutes to take a selfie and take a photograph of where you are. Wow. And so, Cullen, if I'm a follower of you, you get your notification at 10:30 a.m. and I get a photograph of you smiling in a cafe and a photograph of your coffee. Or if it's me at the desk, it's not compellingly, fascinatingly interesting. But it's just something that a number of people have raised with me. And it just sounds superficially quite fun of like, if you follow Cullen, you get 2 photos from him a day. One is a selfie and one is just a little picture of where he is. He might be at the beach. He might be at a cafe. He might be just waking up. He might be going to sleep. He might be, going for a run or whatever it is. And because it is to the extent unplanned, it will hopefully be a little less hyper curated, a little more, a stupid word to use, real or authentic.
That's okay.
Post-produced. Because of course you're meant to be real on the app. And it's sort of works, I think, so far. I'm enjoying it.
You got to be real. An original is worth more than a copy, as my old friend Oscar Wilde would once said. Schiffer has said, I love it when you hop on LinkedIn and talk about TikTok, James. Always funny. And Evelyn Gardis, God bless her, has asked, where is the wine? Sorry, Evelyn. Not many people don't know this or may know this. I'm not a drinker. I'm a bit of a teetotaler. But where is the coffee, I would ask, Evelyn? Where's the coffee in our hands, James? What are you drinking at the moment?
Look, I've got to say sorry. Cullen, I'm down to 2 coffees a day, 2 or 3 these days, and I've had them. And so I'm doing my best to self-police as I can. But it's, look, you're very, very good to do your teetotaling. I just emerged from dry July, and very sadly, the lesson I learn each dry July is drinking's great. And so
it's only been drinking if you stop, right? That's exactly right.
Precisely. And so, Cullen, I very much admire your restraint. It's very, very good. But Evelyn does ask a good question. It's very wise of her to ask.
And Mina, thank you for these are great questions and engagement. Mina has asked, how do you feel about growing your audience to include international outside of Australia, such as followers in, say, America, Japan, North America? What would you say to that, James?
I don't particularly care, which is to say, it's not something I think about too closely. Frankly, if someone's getting value from what I do in a touchy-feely way, that's nice. And I don't care if they're in Japan or America or whatever it may be. Yeah. but also at the heart of the project is essentially business development. And so then the question is, well, are people who are likely to refer me work or refer others to me going to be in North America, Japan, or the Ukraine, or whatever it may be? My answer to that is no. It's more likely they're going to be in Australia. So my broad response is I wouldn't necessarily pursue engagement with other jurisdictions aggressively or in a pointed way. But if it happened, if nice people said nice things and it turned out they lived in a different country, that's just very nice. But I stay pretty New South Walesy, Australia centric. But many ways to skin that cat, and I accept that other practices might work different ways.
Of course. Well, we don't want to be skinning anything, but what I would say is you can shear a sheep many times, but skin it only once, as it were. But I love where your head's at, James. I guess the last couple of questions. Someone tunes into our LinkedIn Live. They're at one of the bigger firms. They're associate, senior associate. They're wanting to be a rainmaker themselves. They want to start using the socials to boost their own brand, but also the company brand. But they're cognizant that, there's that first rule in the laws of power: don't outshine the master, don't outshine, the powers that be. What would you say to them in terms of,
send us your CV. Is I think the first thing
Mark the Chamberlains.
Yeah. So just hit me in the DMs with your CV or email it to
yourself
me.
Or Stipe. Send them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes, Stips or I will get straight on it. So quit and come work with us will be the first bit of advice, and that is genuine advice. But another bit of genuine advice is there is going to be that challenge when you are an ambitious person growing under a partner who themselves will have spent some time building their practice, and there is that tension moment when you shift from almost that shift I referred to at the start of this discussion, that shift from being someone doing technical work on the tools into someone who's doing a generous bit of that, but also just starting to incorporate that rainmaker element into their practice. And I think the way to manage that depends on the relationship you've got with the partner, frankly.
Of course.
And I can imagine some partners being like, your billboards are all that matters here. And if you're going to get distracted on stupid social media, then you're out. I can imagine there being a very blunt response. But I think if you've built a nice relationship of trust with that partner who you can assist in understanding how building your skills as a rainmaker will assist them and you in your respective journeys, then that's the way to do it. And if that conversation fails, send me a CV. Can't wait to hear
Slide into James and Stipe's DMs or Stina, anyone from Chamberlains.
Yes, Cullen, you're all over it. We'd love to hear from you.
Now, I'm cognizant you've got a meeting at 2:00, so we've got a few last questions if we can trouble you there, James. Tegan Foreman, who is another legend of law. Hey, Tegan. Which platform are you spending the most time on at the moment, and why?
For me, it's probably interesting. It's probably Instagram.
Wow.
And I think it's because Instagram I find to be the easiest cross-posting platform of all. So if I think I've done a funny tweet, I'll quickly do a funny tweet, then take a screenshot, then head to Instagram stories, and then upload the screenshot to be like, everyone, I'm pretty funny. Look at this funny tweet. Or if there's, 60 seconds I spend on TikTok, hey, everyone, there's a plaintiff and a defendant, and here's what happened. Then I'll be jumping over to Instagram to upload that as a story as well. And I find that the DM ecosystem on Instagram is more likely to lead me to hear from prospects and referrers, as well as people in the legal industry. And so I think it's probably Instagram. And I know Instagram's meant to be uncool and TikTok's going to eat its lunch. Fine. I'm content for others to form that view. But I think it almost leads back to that diverse portfolio point, Cullen, that you and I were speaking about earlier. So I think probably Instagram just at the moment. And it's also the one I'm enjoying the most, I think, just at the moment.
Especially with the reels coming down the pipeline. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's good.
John Farron has said we've moved away from Clubhouse a while ago. What do we think about LinkedIn Live audio being available now?
It's a good question, John. I've given it zero thought, but I think there is space for some sort of audio app. and Clubhouse was exciting for a time, and I think we would all agree that there was a sort of 4 week, 6 week, 8 week, 10 week, time that it was great fun. And I think there is something there. What I really did not like about Clubhouse was the conspicuous listening, was that you couldn't go in, what's the word after, anonymously. And so you'd walk into a room and Cullen, you'd come in, I'd be like, oh, Cullen's here, Cullen, hi. And then your options were stay until there was a gap in the conversation 15 minutes later for you to join in, or leave and be rude to me who's just said hello to you, to welcome you into the room. And so you can't just sort of plug in your earpods and listen as if it was a podcast. And so I think something that allows you to be an audience member but not a contributor is going to be the way. And if LinkedIn live audio is the way to do it, then I think that interests me. Yeah, I hope that's a good answer, John. You always ask good questions. So I hope that answer's done its credit.
Lawyers always ask good questions. And Tegan has said Instagram is her favorite as well. And she's using it a lot. I guess wrapping up or packing up, as Jerome would say, unpacking, let's pack it up. Now, I asked you 3 and a bit years ago at the end of the story series, if there's one thing that people could remember James Dapperchi by, how would you like to be remembered? And do you remember your answer back in the day, James?
I think I probably would have said helpful and good at law or something like that. Probably,
very similar.
Something wishy-washy.
Someone who gave more than he took. So I'd love to ask you, is that still true? And would you like to change that now?
I had forgotten that. I'm sure I've stolen that from someone, but I'll very happily steal it from me in the past, who no doubt stole it from someone else. Yes, I think so. That would bring me great pleasure. And Cullen, people like you are an example of that. So I'm grateful for the chance to chat and grateful for the chance to revisit that chat from 3.5 years ago. It's great fun.
No, absolutely. And it's great to come full circle on this new platform, LinkedIn Live. And where can everyone find you these days? Obviously, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn.
Anywhere is sort of the point. And I hate to give you that serious answer, but I do try to be anywhere on the internet you like. And so if you've got any value from my blathering on this side of Cullen's lovely live, if you search James Dapperchi, D''APICE, or probably even easier, coffee and a case note on any platform you use, you should be able to find me wherever you are. Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook or any of those ones. I should be there. And if I'm not, then you shouldn't listen to anything I have to say because my strategy's failed. So it's almost proving the point itself. But I appreciate the shout out, Cullen. Appreciate the chance to chat.
Thank you so much, James. And thanks to everyone that joined. Hope all is well. And we'll catch you on the next Law Live. Bye for now, everyone. Thanks, James.
Appreciate it. Cheers.